What's up, everybody? Welcome to Big Blue Avenue. I'm your host tonight, Tom Scavetta. No Sam Cardona Norberg tonight, unfortunately, but we will have a special guest, New Orleans Saints superfan Sean Militello from Off the Dome Sports, joining us in just a few minutes to help preview the Giants-Saints game here in Week 14. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving. It's been a tough season for the Giants, 2-10, folks. We won't spend much time at all on this past game. We'll talk more about, Dexter Lawrence's injury, Kayvon Thibodeau's comments, Drew Lock being named the starter for this week. Very excited to talk about those subjects and maybe talk a little bit about the draft coming up in 4 months. So before we dive into the meat of the show, folks, if you're new to the channel, make sure to check us out on all of our social media platforms at Big Blue Avenue on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. We appreciate all of your support. And quickly here on this Thanksgiving Day, it was rough. We know Tommy DeVito did not get the start. Drew Lock got the start on an abbreviated week. Giants lose 27-20. Little practice time with the ones. Not terrible stats, but he had that one awful screen for a pick six, and he also got sacked 6 times, 14 quarterback hits, and a lost fumble. He did have that nice rushing touchdown, hit Neighbors a couple times down the field, but it wasn't enough. Giants' offensive line really, really struggled in this football game, folks, and it is a huge concern moving forward. Hopefully the Giants can get back Jermaine Illuminor in Week 14 and start him at left tackle. But it'll have to be seen what happens. Tyrone Tracy Jr. only had 9 carries for 32 yards. Malik Neighbors, 8 catches for 69. Now, the big news, defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence has been placed on season-ending injured reserve with an elbow injury. He will not play again this season. His 2024 campaign sadly comes to an end. He was in the running for NFL Defensive Player of the Year. I'll be honest, it didn't work out. It was a rough season for the Giants. Lawrence was playing banged up the last few weeks. The Giants weren't getting sacks. They weren't doing much on the front four side of the ball, and that led to some big plays down the football field. And I will say a lot of these big plays happened when Dexter Lawrence was sidelined. So it's important to note, folks, that the Giants really need to beef up the trenches in the offseason and in the draft. Also, rookie tight end Theo Johnson suffered a foot injury. His rookie campaign is likely done as well. Giants signed Greg Dulcich from the Broncos last week. They signed him to their 53-man roster, so he'll likely replace Theo's spot. You'll probably see more of Daniel Bellinger and Chris Manhertz. Now, folks, you're never going to win a football game when you commit 13 penalties. It's just not going to happen, and this is what happened to the Giants on Thanksgiving. They've now lost 8 straight games to the Dallas Cowboys and hold the number 3 overall draft pick. Now we know the Raiders right now and the Jacksonville Jaguars are ahead of the Giants in the order as of today. I know a lot of you folks want to talk about the NFL draft. Obviously, we're still in the season at the moment, so it's definitely a hard subject to talk about, but we will sprinkle it in over the next 5 weeks of the season. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at. Kayvon Thibodeau made his return this past week, ladies and gentlemen. And, he didn't play every snap, but he seemed non-existent out there. Azeez Ojulari is on IR. Definitely a tough blow for this Giants roster. But the edge rushing room was just not there. Burns can't do it all. Now with Dexter Lawrence on IR, there'll be more opportunities to double team guys like Burns and Thibodeau off the edge. And it is concerning. Thibodeau had some interesting comments on leadership. He said, if you don't make plays, you don't have a voice. And I don't like this comment, but I do think it was taken out of context just a little bit. I know there were some old school Giants from the 07 championship team commenting about it. Not huge fans personally, like Lawrence Tynes, Dave Tollefson. They spoke out about this. Look, the Giants are 2-10 right now. There's a lot of emotions on the line, ladies and gentlemen. It's not easy for a 2-10 football team to keep the locker room together, and Kayvon Thibodeau just, voicing his frustration. And him this year, he hasn't played like much of a leader. But I will say Kayvon Thibodeau is a guy that I definitely want the fifth-year option on him. And you're looking at this 2022 draft class, and right now, there's really no bona fide hits in this draft class. You could argue that Kayvon Thibodeau is the closest thing to it, but Wan'Dale Robinson's numbers have been okay. I think they'd be stronger with better quarterback play and better line. You look at Evan Neal, he's been a bust. You look at Josh Azudu, he's been a bust. Cordell Flott has been okay. Daniel Bellinger and Dane Belton have been special teams role players. Belton's been in on some 3 safety sets. A little disappointed we haven't seen more of him. But now with Wink Martindale's departure and Shane Bowen in, we've seen less production from guys like a Dane Belton or a Kayvon Thibodeau, even when healthy. Thibodeau just 2 sacks on the season, but again, he's missed a lot of time due to injury, so you can't really fault it too much at this time. And yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at with Kayvon Thibodeau. Don't love the comments, but I understand where he's coming from. He's a young guy trying to make a name for himself in the NFL, and the Giants have definitely been trapped right now, right? They're trying to compete. Daboll's trying to save his job. And at the same time, the outside noise is, oh my gosh, we need a quarterback. We need to blow this up and lose every game. That's not the mentality that the Giants locker room has. And folks, please do remember, even though, yes, we do need a quarterback, no draft pick is a guarantee. So do not freak out if the Giants end the season picking 5th or 6th in the order, or 1st, 2nd, whatever it is, it is. We do know this is not a strong quarterback class. There is a lot of time for things to play themselves out. We've seen trade-ups in the past. So, yeah, I do definitely hope Kayvon Thibodeau pans out and balls out these last 5 games of the season. I'm glad that he's healthy. Giants also signed defensive tackle Cory Durden to the 53-man roster from the Rams practice squad. And then they also designated linebacker Deontay Johnson to return from injured reserve. Now, big news of the week. We weren't sure. Who was it going to be? Was it going to be Drew Lock? Was it going to be Tommy DeVito? Tommy DeVito still recovering from that right forearm injury he suffered in week 12. It'll be Drew Lock for week 14. He'll have a full week of practice gearing up to take on the New Orleans Saints. Look, Drew Lock wasn't awful on Thanksgiving. He's definitely had some issues. He's not the best quarterback out there. But all in all, I do think that Drew Lock is a decent quarterback at the number 2 level. He's a guy that can come in and be a bridge for the rest of the season if he performs well. I'm intrigued to see what happens with Tommy DeVito when healthy, fully healthy, if he is the number 1 or not. So, yeah, there are some things to consider here. Remember, now with the Giants, for example, right? Thomas is out for the year. Evan Neal's been playing for Illuminor. He's not 100%. So there are some scout team guys out there who have a lot of chemistry with Drew Lock. For instance, Tyrone Tracy Jr. started the season as the backup running back. He has established chemistry with Drew Lock. And we'll talk more about the Saints, but their run defense is definitely the weak link of their football team, as well as their weapons on the outside at the receiver position. So the question is, folks, and if you want to drop some comments in the comments section and ask questions on this, that would be appreciated as well. What should we expect from Drew Lock with a full week of practice? Because personally, I don't know. A lot of people have been arguing that Drew Lock could have a full month of practice and still won't be fully ready to produce at the NFL level. I don't entirely agree with that. I think Lock is a serviceable backup. He's not garbage, but if you rely on him 16 weeks a year, 17 weeks a year, whatever it is, it's going to turn out very, very bad for your football team. And he seems pretty optimistic. You know, the reporters are in good spirits with Drew Lock. I just think it's a matter of getting him the reps, getting him more comfortable, right? You know, working with Malik Neighbors, Darius Slayton, a veteran who was part of that 2019 draft class like Drew Lock. Um, Wandale Robinson is a slot receiver who's been around. Chris Manhertz is a former Denver Bronco. He did have some layover with Drew Lock, so there is some positives that you can take from this. And this won't be the case, ladies and gentlemen. We're drafting a quarterback, but Drew Lock also needs to audition for his future in the NFL, whether it's with the Giants as a backup or whether it's with another team.